Upon starting the game, the user will be greeted by this menu. Message of the day is shown just below the Create New User button and the Edit User button. If your username does not appear in the user list, click the Create a User button. A pop-up box will appear in which you can enter your desired username into the text box and then click Create to finalize. The newly created username should now appear in the drop-down list. To edit an existing user, first select the user from the drop-down list and then click the Edit User button. Clicking the Confirm button without changing the selected name of the user will cause the program to tell the user to pick a different name. To change the name of a user, enter the new name in the Edit Name text box, then click Confirm to finalize. If the user's name is the same as an existing user's name, the game will prevent the user from entering this name. To delete a user, press the Delete a User button. If the user clicks the leaderboard button without first selecting a level, an error message will appear, informing the user that they must select a level. Once a level has been selected, a user can click the leaderboard button in order to view the top 3 quickest times to complete that level. Clicking the Back button will return the user to the main menu. Clicking on the Quit button will exit the program. Here is an example of the TXT files used to create the levels. The first line shows the name of the level. The next line shows the size of the level, with the first number being the size in the X direction and the second number being the size in the Y direction. The next few lines define the general shape of the level. The hash marks represent walls, blank spaces represent floor tiles, and the G represents the goal. The line after the size of the general level shows the starting position of the player. The next few lines show the entities that will be stored in the level. Each line shows the type of entity, their position, and any other information required by the entity. The next set of lines show the time taken by each user to complete the level. To start the game, select a user and a level from the 2 drop-down lists. The game will not begin until the user has selected both a user and a level from the drop-down lists on the menu. If the selected user has not progressed far enough into the game to unlock the selected level, the game will be prevented from starting. A pop-up box will appear to inform the player of this and direct them to pick a different level. When the level loads, the board state will be displayed in an isometric format. Pressing the up, down, left or right button will move the player in that corresponding direction. The player's sprite will also update to account for the change in direction. Once the player has pressed a key, all of the enemies on the board will make a move. If the player attempts to move onto a space it is not currently allowed to move onto, such as a wall or a locked door, the player will not move and instead stay in position. The enemies, however, will move. If the player moves onto a space occupied by an enemy, or an enemy moves onto the space occupied by the player will die. In the event that the player dies either by touching an enemy or by falling into lava or water, a pop-up will appear, allowing the player to either restart the level or quit to the menu. The lava and water cells kill the player if they are moved onto without the player first collecting the required equipment. For the lava cells, this is the fire boots, and for the water cells, this is the flippers. If either of these items have been collected, then the player will be allowed to move onto the respective spaces without dying. If the player moves onto a space occupied by an item such as a key or a token, the item will disappear and be added to the player's inventory. To unlock a key door, the player must have collected a key of the same colour as the door. For a token door to be unlocked, the player must have collected a certain amount of tokens. Teleporters come in pairs. Upon stepping onto one of the teleporters, the player will be moved to the other one. Enemies will make their move after the player has teleported. If the player moves onto the space containing the goal, the game will advance to the next level. The Smart Follow enemy follows the shortest path towards the player, accounting for any obstacles between the two. The Dumb Follow enemy makes a beeline for the player in the direction that would take it closest to it, as if there were no obstacles in the way. However, if there is an obstacle in the enemy's path, it will remain stuck in position against the obstacle. The Wall Follow enemy follows the perimeter of the wall that it starts next to. The Straight Line enemy moves in a straight line in a single direction until it reaches a cell that is not a floor cell, at which point it will turn around. Clicking the Save Game button will save the current board state of the level for the player to return to at a later date. Both the time taken to complete the level and the player's inventory will be the same once they have returned. Once a saved game has been resumed, the board state will be identical as to when it was saved, and the player's inventory will persist. To change the theme of the game, select a different theme from the drop-down list. A music clip will also begin to play, and this will loop continuously throughout the game. And that's the game. Thank you for watching.